Hello and welcome. You're listening to Marketing Matters on the Wharton Podcast Network. It's our weekly podcast where we analyze the latest in advertising, marketing, customer behavior, and new product launches. I'm Barbara Kahn, the Patty and J.H. Baker Professor of Marketing, and my co-host, Americus Reed, will not be with us today, but we still have a wonderful show because we have a very exciting guest who I'm happy to introduce right now. So our guest is Hannah Kelly, who is the CMO at Resy, which is an American Express company. Hello, Hannah. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So you're the CMO or Chief Marketing Officer at Resy since 2022, but you've been at American Express for a while, right?
Yes, it is actually my 15-year anniversary
Ooh.
this month, which is still wild to say out loud. But it's been an amazing ride, and the last sort of 6 years of my career with American Express has been dedicated to our dining practice, and that started with leading the acquisition of Resy from the American Express side. So evaluating that opportunity, seeing it through, and then when we closed, joining as a member of the Resy leadership team. And since then, have been along for the ride. And we just actually acquired Talk at the end of last year, which is another table management and hospitality technology provider to some of the most fine dining restaurants and wineries. So at every turn, it just continues to get exciting. It's a very dynamic industry and job to be a part of.
So let's talk a little bit about the business model and then get into Resy in particular. So American Express, I remember, is it a credit card? Is it a charge card? I mean, that whole business was a little bit different than, say, MasterCard and Visa to start with. Is that right?
Absolutely. I mean, our job is to think about how to really build a brand around what is a piece of plastic, now a piece of metal, and all the form factors that we have, and really think about being more of a lifestyle provider. And that, of course, comes with financial services and powerful backing, but it comes with thinking about where consumers are spending today and where we think they're going to spend tomorrow, and building benefits, creating the right sort of partnerships and proprietary technology and offerings to ensure that we're there to incentivize, complement, and empower the lifestyle choices of our base.
So it's really kind of an interesting business because there's no there there. It's kind of like a platform, a network, a collaboration of a lot of different things. And now moving into this dining space, you're really talking about the experience of dining in some sense. And that's the service you're offering, correct?
100%. And I mean, even when we thought about the acquisition of Resy, we've had a long-standing heritage predating my tenure at American Express by many decades within dining. I believe one of the first transactions swiped with an American Express card was at a restaurant. And in our ambitions as an enterprise to really think about where our consumer spending, how can we add value? And then similarly on the network side, making sure that we're looking at merchants and providing and connecting them with the diners and guests, we need to look at the categories we play in. And dining is that. In 2024, we saw $87 billion from American Express card members spent in the dining category,
Yeah, that's
which is
good.
a tremendous number.
Yeah.
And there's a real opportunity for us to make sure that we're looking at the best restaurants and venues and how we provide technology and tools. And with Resy and now with Talk, we have those capabilities at our disposal, and we have service offerings beyond just tech, which we can speak about. And our job is to really make sure that those businesses thrive. They are profitable. They are growing the way that they want to grow through telling their stories, through meals, through events. And for diners, it's connecting them to those restaurants, those that they love and those that they should love. And with that, if you're an American Express card member or an Amex merchant, we hope to make it even that much better for you.
Yeah, so let me just parse that out a little bit because you mentioned two different sets of customers.
Yes.
There's the restaurants and then there's the end users. So I don't know if this is secret or you can tell us like what's the revenue model? Who pays for the service? Somebody must pay for that. So where does the revenue come from? Does it come from the restaurants? Does it come from the end users?
So we are a SaaS business. So both Resy and Talk are SaaS businesses, meaning that we sell the Resy operating system and Talk sells its top operating system to hospitality providers, and there's a monthly fee that goes a part of that. So we get revenue from those pieces. But when we think about the broader business model, it's the actual spend that we're seeing come through under the umbrella of American Express, which is we're seeing card members continue to spend in dining. We hope to continue to capture more than our fair share of that spend. And by having that sort of connectivity to 20,000 plus restaurants within Resy, we have the ability to now do that not only from like a SaaS fee side of things, but I think more importantly, powering up the broader ecosystem, which unlocks a lot of broader revenue that you would see through American Express.
Okay, so let me just unpack what you just said. So some of it's a subscription model, right? Where the merchants pay for your software platform and for those services. So that's some kind of subscription. But then on top of it, people use the card to charge the meals. And so that generates other types of revenue for the business. And I think that's what you said. Is that right?
That's exactly right. And our job is to think about how that spend is not only just self-serving for American Express, but we're sending that to, we hope, more restaurants who might not have had that access to that type of diner before, that American Express can send through our joint Resy, Talk, and American Express marketing ecosystems, but also through creating benefits and incentives to get people out to dine. So just to bring that to life, we launched something called our Resy Credit Benefit, which allows for eligible card members from American Express to enroll. And when they enroll in that benefit, when they spend at any Resy restaurant, they earn whatever dollar amount back right on their check. And with that, we've been able to send $19 million in Resy credit statements to Resy restaurants in New York City alone, just in a year period of time. So what that allows us to do is, yes, we have our SaaS fees, we're seeing the spend, but we're also hoping that we're driving that incrementality, not just for Amex, but to hopefully create more profitability for restaurants who on average make very slim margins, especially in today's world with rising rents and just costs of goods, labor, et cetera.
Okay, so let's talk about the fun part, which is like the marketing. So one of the things we're seeing in a lot of businesses, but it makes a lot of sense here in this business, is this move towards experiences. And so I think in addition to the service you may provide by making a reservation and the operational side, you're also doing a lot of storytelling, a lot of collaborations, a lot of experiences around different chefs. Can you talk a little bit about how that got started and how you form those relationships and how you think about that?
100%. The core of Resy is yes, we have an awesome brand, but that brand is really backed by the restaurants and venues on our platform. And we have the privilege of getting to help amplify and tell their stories. And that's through edits, that's through events, that's through experiences. If you think about just the very premise of a restaurant and of a meal, those are micro experiences each and every day. You're going to lunch, you're going to dinner with a friend. That is an opportunity for theater. That is an opportunity for service. That is an opportunity for human interaction and to be transported to potential different country through a different cuisine type. To be more specific around the experiences we do, what we like to do is twofold. One, what are experiences that we can create that are proprietary to Resy in close partnership and within ideation of our restaurant partners? And then two, really merchandising a lot of events and ideas that our restaurant partners are bringing to us. So an example of the latter is we are close partners with Unapologetic Foods. They are based in New York City. Rani Mazumdar is their CEO. They specialize in Indian cuisine. And they have grand ambitions, not just to serve and provide incredible cuisine, of which they've won tons of accolades for. It's very hard to get in to their restaurants. They have an amazing service model. But beyond that, they really want to help break down and demystify and educate the deep heritage, the different flavors, the story behind Indian cuisine in the Western world. So Ronnie actually approached us and said, hey, like, I have this crazy idea. I would love to be able to take Indian food and Unapologetic on tour across the country to help expose America to Indian flavors, have talks, cetera. We didn't think it was crazy at all. And we actually sponsored that series. And that's one of those ideas that came to us from a restaurant partner. And that conversation can happen because of our deep relationship and investment in really knowing our partners and being there as they hope to build out their ambitions for their businesses. On the former, which is more of our original programming, we are constantly looking for ways to marry cultural zeitgeist and where consumers are interested, where they think we think they should be interested in food, and match that up with what we are seeing in terms of trends and up and comers and names that should be known within dining and hospitality. And one such example is our Resy Dream Team dinner series that we launched this year. And the premise of that was, how could we look at these hotter rising chefs and operators around the country and pull on the conversations that we see light the eyes up of our chefs most, which are what inspired you, what got you into cooking, what made you want to like sacrifice your career, your time, and really get into this trade. And with that, like, who would be your dream collaborator? Those types of conversations are always the most fun. So we turned that into a series, and our Resy Dream Team series was taking the sort of up and coming stars. We picked 5 of them. One such example, Yara Herrera in Queens of Hellbender, had a conversation with her. Who did she want to collaborate with? She named Martha Stewart. Was like, I don't even know if you could do this. We called Martha's team. They were honored, delighted, loved the reasons why Yara wanted to partner with Martha. And Martha herself collaborated on cocktails, a full menu, went for service. And with that, it brought a really unique experience to Yara and to her team in Queens, but also provided an incredibly rewarding, once in a lifetime sort of experience for guests as well. So that is really like the heart and soul, and really.
So how did the guests get to be part of that? Like, how does that exactly work? So I understand that experience. It sounds awesome, actually. But then, how would I get to do it? How do you get to do it?
So we ticket them exclusively on Resy. So we create the partnership, we create the event, we produce the event, we brand the event, we do all of the marketing collateral around it. We put it live on the Resy app and web for any guest to go and experience. And then we market that through social on our channels, email on our own channels, and then also the chefs and the talent channels. So in this case, Martha as well.
Wow. So I also saw, I mean, I guess this is old news now, but it's one of my favorite shows, that you did some kind of sponsorship with the bear. Um, I mean, that show was really interesting in that it showed this is the 4th season, I guess, all the background and everything you're talking about, the whole theater and the fine dining. So it does make perfect sense to do some kind of sponsorship with that. But how did that all come about?
Yeah, I think, food and hospitality is at a really interesting point where you're starting to see consumers actually care what's going on back of house, and the service model and the deeper stories beyond, like, what dishes should I eat, what are the best restaurants. And the fact that a show like The Bear is in multiple seasons and running demonstrates that, like, the consumer really woke up. And personal hypothesis is, food is one of those last sort of frontiers that you can digitize everything around it, but you can't digitize the taste yet, and the experience of being served and the people behind it. And my other personal hypothesis is, during COVID, I think we really felt the gap of not being able to gather and go out to eat. Your phone is down, you are looking at the person next to you or across the table from you, and there's a real respect for people providing that level of service and cuisine. So I think that's really exciting to see. With The Bear, we have a broader relationship with American Express and Disney and Hulu. So that was sort of the premise. But what is interesting is Resy was organically mentioned in the show. We have agency partners and chef partners who help to produce and be a part of that show. And I think that really speaks to, as a brand for Resy, the sort of clout that we've been able to build by authentically providing the right sort of product, providing the right sort of editorial, having those partnerships with the restaurants and the operators to just organically be featured in a show that is authentically about the industry.
Yeah, no, that really made sense. Like what you're saying is true. They had real chefs on it. It seamlessly worked into the show. It all made perfect sense. So a lot of what you're talking about here is from the producing the experience side, from the restaurant side. But meantime, you must also get all this data from your diners. So what do you do with all of that data?
We do a lot, with the data that we have from our diners, we know that personalization isn't really a is it going to be here? Is it going to stay? It is core to our business model, and it's incumbent upon us to use that data to not only help grow our ambitions of Resy and American Express, of capturing greater spend and engaging existing card members, prospecting net new. It's really about how we can power up hospitality. And restaurateurs, they don't necessarily have marketing departments. They don't necessarily have data scientists sitting on their
Right,
book.
right.
So when we look at data, we think about it of one, when we think of building our restaurant network, where are people dining? What are people searching for? How can we make sure that we're looking at, yes, accolades that we're seeing in the market, but paying attention to different cuisine types to surface up restaurants within our platform, editorialize them, and even go out and acquire and bring them onto
Huh.
Res. Two is we are looking at how we can use data to help create content that's bringing guests into the platform. So there's a lot more we can be doing there, and where we are spending even greater time. But like thinking about the collection. So when you go into the Resi app, we have an entire Discover tab, and you can actually filter through different ways of dining. So that could be brunch, it could be different, cuisine types, et cetera. And we're using data to inform the algorithm and even the collections that we publicly surface
Excellent.
to search. And then the last piece is like when we want to invest in proprietary benefits for American Express card members, we're looking at what are the trends and consumer behaviors around what's getting them to spend, what's getting them to dine out more, and mining that to create the right sort of events and experiences that we put out for all guests. But then what do we hold back as sort of those scarce assets for American Express card members to again make it worth your while to, we hope, get an Amex card and spend a bit more.
So, I mean, it makes sense, all of this, but you can also imagine extensions. And now that I'm thinking about it, American Express has always been about travel and stuff. It seems like a natural extension would be to go into travel, destination, not just dining, but hotels, destination. And I guess American Express has always been in that business. So, does Resi see itself going in that direction too? Or,
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we have Amex Travel, which is one of the largest travel agencies in the world. With Resi and now Talk combined, we can create a similar sort of platform and ecosystem within dining within Amex. That said, I think the power is when you string all of that together, and that's where you spend a lot of time internally. So if you land in California from Pennsylvania, and we send you an email or a push that says, "Welcome from American Express. Here's where you're staying." Imagine a world where we can also include, here are places to eat based off of your dining behavior, based off of how many people we think you're traveling with. There's so much we can do. And one prime example of how we've connected some of these assets actually just launched within the last couple of weeks, our culinary collective. So we've had the Centurion Lounge business for some time. We have, I believe now 15 locations around the US and globally. And what we've done to up level that experience and give people maybe to just go to the airport without a ticket is we've brought in five of our top chefs that we see coming through in terms of demand data, like Mike Solomonov, Kwame Onwachi, Mashama Bailey, and we've actually had them curate a menu that you can experience in any of our 15 lounges. So what's
wow.
exciting is that we've started to scratch the surface on how we can bring our dining and travel assets together. And I think there's so much more we can do both digitally and in real life to create something special for card members.
Yeah, it's really interesting. If I look at any of the data on where people are spending money, it's definitely on experiences. Like you look in the luxury world, they're just not buying as many material things anymore. And creating these new kinds of experiences is what people are looking for. So, I mean, you're naturally in that space, but how much of it was proactive versus reactive? I mean, did you see this coming and say this is the way it goes, or you just happen to be in the right place at the right time, or
Probably a little bit of both. No, truly, and I give Amex credit again, predating my tenure at the company. We've been in the business of experiences for decades, and look at the great sponsorships and tenured sponsorships we have with the U.S. Open, with the NBA, what we are doing with F1. So even at a brand level, we've had we had a dining concierge program that was really about facilitating access, that was all phone based, predating Resy. uh, Thinking to the question of where you started, which is really like, what is American Express? It is connecting buyers and sellers, but the way in which we do that is through experiences and giving people meaning and providing them backing and confidence to do that. With Resy and Talk, those investments were made because we knew that this experiential economy was here to stay, and especially within dining. So um, I want to give the credit where credit is due. It's been a longstanding part of just what the premise of membership is, and where we want to be able to support the lifestyles of our card members today and tomorrow.
so I'm actually interested just in your personal life. Like, what do you do day to day? I mean, it sounds like you have a pretty exciting job dealing with all these people, but like, what is a day to day in your world?
Uh, One is I wake up and deal with a 3.5-year-old. So that, but once I get her out the door, uh, we are thinking a lot about what is the future state of hospitality, and how do we build that both in terms of brand and value proposition, which is squarely within my camp, partnering closely with our product teams and greater American Express of what that could look like. Um, and to date, we're spending a lot of time on the integration of Resy and Talk, and really thinking about what that will look like in the future, and it's exciting. The second and like most exciting part of my job is, yes, spending time with my team, but really spending time with partners. If you just listen, you shut up and you listen to operators, front of house staff, go to a restaurant, talk to a host, you get a lot of insight around who's coming in their doors, who's not coming in their doors, where they're
That's
getting
interesting.
stuck on operations, the stories they want to tell, that they have no idea that there's a marketing angle there for their business. They have no idea that the technology and ops is a place that they could actually solve some of their business challenges. So that's where we spend a ton of time and focus, is really trying to understand from a diverse set of partners and business sizes of different dollar sign offerings on a menu. What is it that they need? And we're using that to kind of inform the former, which is, what is that future state of hospitality look like? How do we power that up through tech and ops? And how do we power up a demand ecosystem with our guests and our member base to deliver on that?
So if you're doing all that listening, are there any like interesting trends that you're noticing, things that like that you've heard that was a surprise to you?
Uh, oh, it's such a good question. I think the demand piece is something that comes up a lot, and um, how do we continue to tell our story and break through media and break through noise to reach that demand? And if you can imagine, like, big brands who you have on this podcast, like American Express, like Resy, we're competing for share of voice and people's attention. Imagine what a restaurant or a venue is doing when they don't have a marketing department. So if anything, it kind of puts the onus, and like, we see a real opportunity to be a thought partner there, both in providing ideas when we do engage one-on-one of what's a story angle, how you could get that out, and then putting that into our own edit and our events and experiences, but also where we want to productize that at some point. So I think just really helping, and that acute need of, how do we break through this like digital ecosystem as a very small business, is something that continues to come up in our conversations.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. American Express has always been good about helping small businesses. I mean, I think you guys invented like Small Business Saturday or something like that.
Did. It was one of the
Yeah.
first projects I worked on as like
Oh,
a small
really?
little analyst, a very small role in a very big campaign. But um, it's honestly why I love the job that I'm in now. It's with Amex. You hear this big name. We've been around for decades, and What has always been sort of my lifeline to this company has been the genuine desire to help small business do more business. I started in what was called Open at the time, and we had done research, and this was back in 2010 around like the mindset of a small business owner, and the number one need was we need more business, we need more customers, and I had worked in fashion PR. I had been in the company for like a month or two. And when this report came out, I was like, that's good to know. Like, what are we possibly going to do with this? And someone had come up with the idea of like, let's make a holiday, like Black Friday for the big guys, like, and call it Small Business Saturday. And just seeing the company rally behind that, get the investment. We launched it as a Facebook page, and now here it is 15 years later. It's amazing. And a lot of the premise and the business challenges we have within hospitality are exactly that. How do we help
Yeah.
restaurants thrive?
Yeah, and that's what makes eating out so fun is that they're small businesses. You don't wanna go to this big conglomerate. You wanna go to a local restaurant, a local chef, and it's interesting to really focus on that. Wow, Hannah, it's been a delight talking to you about your job, about Resy, about American Express. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. It was
Where
great.
can our listeners go to read more about this or maybe to find out more how to get involved with this? Where can they go to find out about this?
Download the Resy app. That's where you can directly book, you can discover, or Resy.com. We have all of our edit, events, and obviously great restaurants to book. So check us out.
Yeah, great experiences. Thank you so much. Well, that's all we have time for today. We'd like to thank our producers, Dion Simpkins and Marissa Renna. Thank you all for listening today, and we'll be back next week. Till then, this has been Marketing Matters on the Wharton Podcast Network.